Good afternoon and welcome to Confronting Injustice. I am your host, Linda Solomon.
And I'm your co-host, Kayla Kittredge.
And today we'll be discussing how the lessons of history, particularly those of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the Bacon Rebellion, serve as prime examples of why unity across race, culture, and economic circumstances can be essential in this movement today. The intersection between the Bacon Rebellion and Dr. Martin Luther King teaches in his teachings, and then our current social climate rests on a shared understanding. And that understanding is that democracy depends on an informed, engaged, and united public.
The Bacon Rebellion, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s beliefs, and the urgency for unity across race and class today all meet at one simple truth. Real change only happens when everyday people recognize their shared struggles and choose solidarity over separation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And do you want to, let's just educate the people, our listeners, about what the Bacon Rebellion was.
So the Bacon Rebellion, I think, to me, the Bacon Rebellion represents people pushing back against the systems that silenced them, or excluded or exploited them. It's about ordinary folks coming together, saying, this isn't fair. We deserve dignity. We won't stay divided while powers benefit from our separation.
And,
It's not just about one group. It's about a collective awakening.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we know, anyone who knows anything about Dr. Martin Luther King knew that he believed that racism, poverty, and militarism were connected. They weren't separate problems, right? And that poor and working class people of all races were harmed by the same unjust system.
I think that truth requires moral courage.
Absolutely.
And definitely nonviolence and unity across differences. His Poor People's Campaign made it clear economic injustice hurts Black, white, Latino, Indigenous, and immigrant communities alike.
That's right. And it's really interesting to think about the amount of injustice that we see happening, the cuts, the just the difficulty that people are having, even with the healthcare. Like, how is that just? How is that humane?
Fair. I absolutely agree.
And even the hunger disparity that you are involved with, like,
how are we thinking that this, like, we are the richest country in the world? Why do we have homelessness? Why are we still struggling to feed our nation, our poor, why are we looking to house, why are we looking for money for education? Like, we are the only first world country that doesn't have universal healthcare, doesn't have universal education, that we still have such a disparity. The gap is only widening.
Right.
And the separations and divisions are only getting deeper, and that's done purposefully.
Right. And you know, it's interesting that Dr. King spoke often about the danger of division, right? While many remember his work on civil rights, few will recall that he also challenged economic inequities and political exclusions affecting people across all racial lines.
That's right. I mean, Dr. King believed democracy only works when people recognize their shared interests. Division, especially when encouraged or exploited, undermines collective power and accountability. And that's what we're seeing across the country.
That's exactly what we're seeing. You know, I think about the intersection between Dr. Martin Luther King's ideology and the Bacon Rebellion. And I think it's important for people to recognize that. As you mentioned, it was a time when people came together and they recognized that they were stronger together. It was also a time when when the people in leadership positions decided that, oh, we can't have this. We cannot have people coming together from different classes, different racial backgrounds. And so it was a time in our history where there was a very deliberate and intentional effort to make sure that there was divisiveness.
Oh, absolutely. The other thing that I think of with Bacon's Rebellion is that that's like the spark of where we see whiteness born. That was the first division sowed. Bacon's Rebellion, again, it didn't matter if you were white, black, indentured servant, you were a slave, you were any of these things, you were poor, you were rich, or working class. That didn't matter because the people up top were taking advantage and stepping on us and using us
for gain, greed.
For greed in this capitalist society. But yeah, Bacon's Rebellion gives us the frameworks of how we move through today and what the steps that we need to take to reclaim our freedom, our life, our liberty, our pursuit of happiness.
Yeah. You know what, it's interesting that we find ourselves, and I say we, the United States, find ourselves in this situation where the person at the helm was elected and is clearly all about divisiveness and self-gain, self-aggrandizement. Like, there's no, whether you support him or you don't, the things that have happened are clear. There's no disputing that.
Yeah.
And the fact that he just, went and, it's just so difficult to even talk about because he went and arrested this individual for crimes, and he's a criminal himself.
He's for some of the crimes that he's currently committing himself on the people of the United States. So it's really weird when we would take a step back and look at what's going on. The United States, even before it became the United States within their colonies, we have a reputation for kidnapping black and brown bodies, for falsely imprisoning them, for using them as for our gain. So do we really think the president of Venezuela was running a drug cartel? I'm not sure about those facts. But is it on our criminal president to go and kidnap him from his own country and bring him in and throw him into one of our prisons?
A convicted felon himself.
A convicted felon himself.
And listen, you can support this president and his team or not. It's not even about that. For me, it has to make sense.
Right.
It has to have some moral standing. And from where I'm standing, it seems like there's a bully at the helm who is consumed with, not the average person. Mm-hmm. Because I'm sure that there are many people who voted for him who are very gravely disappointed.
Yeah, feeling duped almost. And I think that it's important that we continue to talk about and reach out to anybody else that has felt or is now currently feeling like the wool was pulled over their eyes and they're starting to wake up to the realities of the way that this government is choosing to move. Mm-hmm. It's okay. This was done on purpose. This division that you feel, that you see around you, was purposefully done by skilled psychologists, in fact. It's okay though, come back to community. It's important to have these conversations, to not to highlight why you were wrong, but to heal and let's heal together, let's expand together, and let's really approach the people up top and reach the root cause of why we're starving, of why we have children homeless, why we are let's get to the root causes of these instead of blaming each other.
Yeah, I agree, and it's not about throwing darts at anyone at this point because that's muteless. That doesn't make a lot of sense. However, people need to recognize that we really are in this together, and that coming together and supporting each other. And I think the rallies have been a good example of that. People are coming together because they recognize that right is right and wrong is wrong. And so the people power, people coming out, because I think they feel like they need to do something.
Absolutely.
And that's and I think being in community is wonderful. Just educating yourself and educating other people, and not feeling like you're alone in this struggle, because it can feel overwhelming.
Absolutely.
When you see what's happening every day. People.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like if it had not been for the communities and the support and the love that has come out from, these tragic happenings over our past year to 5, 10, depending on where you want to go in history, had it not been for community and holding and supporting and conversations happening, you lose hope. It becomes those dark times that consume you.
Absolutely.
That consume you.
And then, and that's why being in community is so important, and being with like-minded people, and making it about the truth, like not twisting the truth, but taking the blinders off and seeing what's really happening, and it's about whatever you're doing, that it makes sense. And we have to remember that all of these decisions that are being made, the things that are happening on TV, all of this is happening. There's a wide audience, but if we bring it back, we'll bring it home. Children, young people have to make sense of this. They have to make sense of. I thought it was this incredibly traumatic to see George Floyd being murdered on the street. How do you think young people feel about seeing ships blown up, like it's a video game, or people being snatched off the street by these masked people? How do we make sense of this? This is should be about humanity doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And it's really difficult in this time with this person at the helm. However, there are things that, each person has a responsibility to do something in their own small way. But it should make sense.
Yeah, make it make sense. I don't think we should ever. I think what's happening now is we are being desensitized to our own humanity as a society. That's what their goal is. We, as our president, has decided to be the bully of the world. Just this morning we were watching the news and we were almost celebrating that we had seized this oil tanker. Why are we celebrating these things? Why are we celebrating the kidnapping of a president, and hundreds of people were killed in the process? Hundreds of people were killed on these boat strikes that turned out to be fishermen. And is that so important? And it was for what? To stop drugs. But when does human life become relevant again? When does, it's interesting.
it is interesting, and it's always, we have a history of allowing greed and self-enlightened interests to lead in the decision making.
Absolutely.
Which is really unfortunate.
And it's the story of capitalism when we think about it, and global capitalism even. We're seeing it played out over and over. It was global capitalism, the last war we were dragged into. It is, or rather that we sparked it. And it's global capitalism now. It is not, although it's trying to be painted as something different, it has always been that way. With capitalism, there needs to be a bottom. There needs to be an oppressed. Historically, it has been black and brown bodies. We can take away all of the headlines and just follow that, and we see the truth. There it is, like as clear as day. And I think it's important that if we keep those lenses on and that framework, we don't have to. We won't find ourselves having to sift through what's right, the misinformation, the disinformation, because we know here's the playbook, here's history, and here are the cycles that are continuing to be perpetuated because our education system is being stripped away. So you see what they're doing. And this is why we have to keep having these conversations. We have to keep studying, and we have to keep spreading the word.
Absolutely.
We got through slavery, through storytelling, and held on to our culture and who we are through having these conversations. We weren't allowed to read, remember? We weren't allowed to have books. We weren't allowed in education, yet and still we find ourselves here, still having these discussions in 2026, moving on, even though we have forces that are larger and greater than us. We fight back. We find ways. This is what we do.
And that brings us back to the starting point. When people come together, they can create, or we can create, a force that's more powerful than a tidal wave or a tsunami. Like, it's people coming together who recognize that right is right, wrong is wrong, and we want to do what's right because it is the right thing to do. And so we're encouraging people to connect with other people. Do your research. Don't take anything that we say. And certainly what you see on TV, you need to, people need to question everything.
Absolutely.
And fact check.
Absolutely.
And we don't want people to be sitting at home feeling isolated and alone. Just do your research. Connect with groups that are out there, even if it's your Listen, we don't want people to be feeling alone and depressed, because this is enough to make people.
Oh, absolutely. So when ICE was being sent into our communities, and I was seeing it get closer and closer to our state even, a lot of my neighbors, my whole entire street are immigrants where I live. And I can remember just doing what I could and panicking, but not feeling panicked, but just getting the word out there. So the red cards of what Massachusetts has done is Know Your Rights cards. Gave them to every single one of my neighbors, knocked on their door, let them know that if they needed to come to my home, to come to the back door, to knock, that we have a room in our home, that you are safe, and I will answer the door finally, but hand them this card. And it's a shame that it took. It's hard when it comes to a point where we should have been prepared and should have been talking. We can talk about the shoulds, or we can talk about what we can do now, and that's something that we can do now. Go meet your neighbors.
Right.
Introduce yourself. Go into community. And I've met some of the most incredible human beings in doing that. And we've created a network. We've created strength within each other. So I invite everybody else to go do that. I've done that, time and time again, and this is how we.
Absolutely. And I don't, maybe because I'm a former educator and a parent, but I believe that we need to be watching out for our babies and for our young people who are on the sidelines watching what's happening and watching how adults are moving. And we want to be sure that they're okay.
Yeah.
And making sure they're in communities of caring, support, nurturing is what we should be doing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely what we should be doing. So yeah, meet your neighbor, have conversations, agree to disagree. We don't have to agree on everything. It's fine. It's perfectly fine.
It's okay.
Agree to disagree, but let's be civil to each other.
Yeah. And the bottom line, remember your humanity. Remember we all bleed the same.
That's right.
Yeah.
And let me, the whole, I'll take some words from what you said earlier, right? What's happening is not fair.
Mm-hmm.
We know that. We deserve dignity, all of us do. And we're not going to stay divided.
Mm-mm.
We're just simply not. And so each one get out there and do what you can.
I personally won't stand for separation any longer. You know me, Miss Lynn.
I hear you. Just remember, justice doesn't move forward through silence, right? It doesn't move forward through silence or separation.
Mm-hmm.
It moves when we recognize that our futures are tied together.
Absolutely. When people recognize their shared humanity and shared struggles, transformation becomes possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so thank you for joining us on Confronting Injustice.
Thank you so
And
much.
thank you to my co-host, Kayla. And I look forward to the next conversation.